Yes, we are finally here. The play-in tournament begins tonight. Yet we have to wait until Wednesday for the 76ers and the Miami Heat to take the floor for the Eastern Conference start of the play-in tournament. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers podcast. Answer the bell. Derek Bodner, Kyle Neubeck, Devon Givens. Bree is producing, as always, you in the chat as we get ready for the start of the postseason. And already Provolone John says, stop calling it the playoffs. We're still at the play-in stage. It's still the playoffs. You're just trying to the lead-in for the playoffs.
It
so
is
it's
kind
technically
of a
the
gray
playoffs.
area.
It is.
I was trying to
the
talk
name
with my
of
wife
it,
about this.
play-in, means you're playing to get into the playoffs. So I think Provolone might have a point
But
there.
it's the start, the lead-in to the playoff.
It is not the regular season.
No, it's not.
You could call it maybe the postseason, but I think we're splitting hairs at this point.
Well, they're playing in some game
What a
on
useless
Wednesday.
argument.
They're playing in a game on Wednesday. So what's up, great people? As Big Mike says, what's up, good people? What's up, everybody? And welcome. Good to have you all here. We'll certainly talk about a lot of things. We have normally we ask when we have a mailbag type of day, we'll ask mailbag questions and we'll get yours. Well, guess what, folks? I have my own version of mailbag questions today for
nice little
my
surprise
guys
from Uncle
and
Devon.
for you out there that you
won't-
can participate in the chat as well.
I
and whether-
won't repeat the truly awful pun I made at practice today, trying to name this segment. But yes, that is what we were doing. It is
So-
truly, even by my standards, it was awful.
So we will have a series of questions a little bit later that I wanted to throw to the guys. They have no idea what they are. And I just told them that I would have some questions, some random questions for them. They were nice enough to let me do that. So hopefully you get involved as well.
Wait, we had an
and we'll
option?
do
We
that.
had a choice?
You had an option.
Mm-hmm.
You can just ignore it and just move on. But yeah, we have that option. So that being said, you have the option. Kyle's out of here already. Kyle's out of here.
Finally, it took
He had-
7 months, but we're finally free.
I broke him. Not you. I did. I broke him, but here, he came back. He's a pro. He came right back into it. So here we are. But that being said, one of my questions, folks, that I was going to throw at them was kind of answered while we were prepping for the show today, partly because of when we attended practice, the guy in question, he started it. And it just so happens that he's our thumbnail photo of Tyrese Maxey. And is it time for that leap as he goes into his fourth postseason as a player?
Yes.
His second as a starter, if I'm not mistaken, his second full starting year, right? Is it second or third as a full?
So I think the second year was a little bit spotty.
This
with
will be
the
his
Ben,
third.
The
This will be
Ben
his
hold
third.
out, and he
I'm
did
looking
start,
at the numbers.
and
Yeah.
Doc lied about. Well, we don't know if he lied about this one, where he was like, "Oh, he was going to start,
gonna start
all
no
along."
matter
And I was
what,
like,
Yeah, so
I don't know if I buy
This is
that.
his third full year, being that this is year 4. This is third full year as a starter. But again, our thumbnail text was, the leap. Is it time for the leap year for Tyrese Maxey in the postseason? Partly because of the Joel Embiid injury, and also because he has taken that next step, being recognized as one of the best 24 players in the NBA, as an all-star this season at
Might
midseason.
end up being All-NBA as well. We've seen some early votes going his favor. So far.
The most improved player conversation as well
Yes.
with him. So that's one of the things that we wanted to start off with here this afternoon with the Sixers getting ready for this play-in, Provolone John, against Miami tomorrow.
Postseason,
Play-in, an extra game. This will be their 83rd game of the season. Buddy Hield's 85th of the season. But with that being said, Kyle, let's start with you, man, because this should be looked at as a leap year. He's taking that role as a secondary scorer for a good portion of the season. He had to take the role as the number one guy, with Joel Embiid being out of the lineup due to that injury, 29 games missed. Maxey missed his certain amount himself during that time, but he was still the number one option. So when we get ready for this one, and even hearing him speak today, he said a lot of interesting things today. Check out check PHLY_Sixers on Twitter to see the videos that Kyle and Derek have up there on their personal accounts as well, and on PHLY Sixers, just PHLY Sixers.
It was just PHLY
All right,
Sixers.
that you can see what Maxey had to say. But as we look at that, do you look at this one as you have the development every year, but this one may say something just a little bit more differently just because of how much they may need him this postseason?
Yeah. So one of the things that he brought this up today, at practice, but it has been a theme for him, I would say, over the last couple of weeks since Joel came back, is that he feels more prepared for this moment in the playoffs because of that stretch without Joel. You know, we talked about it a lot on this show in written form, what have you. Being the number one guy on the scouting report, you get exposed to all sorts of coverages, right? Tyrese is getting trapped and blitzed and hedged against quite frequently, trying to force, frankly, a team with not a whole lot of ball handling outside of Tyrese into trying to make plays.
Look, it's been a long season.
It has been a
really
long
season.
I'm gearing up for the playoffs. I've been up late writing and doing different stuff, so you got to bear with me if I have some pronunciation errors on the show. So the overarching theme from Maxey, Tyrese Maxey, just to be clear, is that he feels in a better place now because of that tough 2 months where they weren't favored in a lot of these games. They're outgunned. He's being put into uncomfortable positions quite a bit, and he's ready. And then on top of that, I wanted to pick his brain a little bit on, we're all anticipating playoff Jimmy Butler on Wednesday night, right? Jimmy has proven over and over again over the last few years he can raise his game in the playoffs. And there is always this overarching thing with veterans, with stars in the NBA, where once they get to a certain point in their careers, they figure out, it's not to say they don't play great in the regular season. They obviously are able to hit those highs, but they figure out how to save a little extra something, be the best version of themselves, not in December, not in February, but in April, May, and June. And so I asked Tyrese about, you know, what does he think he's learned? And frankly, the big thing that he said stood out is just the physical work that needs to be done, the weight room time in the off season, leading into the season, maintaining that while you're in the middle of the year. And look, there are days where you're coming off of back-to-back. Maybe you played 3 games in 4 nights. Maybe it was a long, exhausting road trip. And you want to say to yourself, I'm going to take today off. But Tyrese, what he said he's learned is that you have to just stay after it. And he told us that from a physical perspective, he feels better coming into the playoffs than he has at any time in his career. And that's a great baseline because, as we're probably going to get into on this show and many others, we know that Joel Embiid to some degree will be a physical question mark Wednesday and in these playoffs. And so to have the other guy be a young, ascending star with the talent to make an impact, feeling good physically, everything is lined up for Tyrese to finally become that true second star in a big moment. I think we saw it certainly during the regular season, but being regular season all-star guy and big-time playoff performer with teams being able to scout just one team and really just a few guys on any given team for an entire series, that's a different level. And I'm hoping that Tyrese can get there this season.
Yeah. And, you know, the way that he went right to, you know, Kyle basically asked, like, Jimmy has pretty notoriously, you know, I don't want to say coasted in the regular. He's leaving again. What is going on?
I think he's shutting the door.
All right. I thought I said something to piss him off. I don't know. I thought it was really, really sensitive. You know, but basically, like, Jimmy has, you know, I don't want to say went easy in the regular season, but
he's mastered how to
save some for the postseason.
He scales it back for
sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
he maxes.
What can you take from that? And he's like, well, I just need to get bigger and stronger and more physically prepared. And I think there's some of that. Like, when you come in as a 19, 20-year-old kid, you are still a 19 and 20-year-old kid. And he's put on a little bit of good adult weight there. Not the kind of weight that I've put on in my adulthood, the kind of weight you want people to put on in their adulthood. And I think that will certainly help them, prevent him from wearing down. But I think more than that, it's just the skill development he's had, the fact that he's seen a lot of these coverages. He's going to be able to not only have the skills to counter to it, but the recognition to pick it up quicker. And that's something that Nick talked about later on in the availability today. Like, this isn't a 7-game series. You've got to be able to adapt on the fly. And it's not one or done, so it's not like there's no margin. But it's one or, oh, shit, we're in trouble. And the fact that he has the opportunity to be a primary focal point, that he has developed his skills as much as he has, and that he has now the physicality to fight through some stuff that maybe he couldn't 2 years ago. I do think Tyrese is poised for an incredible postseason run. Won't say playoff.
Starting with the play-in, which is not the playoffs.
Game
just
83,
in case
baby.
Provolone John is upset with us.
Which I don't think he's wrong, but we don't need to relitigate that. I think he is poised for a good postseason run. I think he's the difference why a lot of people feel optimistic this year where maybe they didn't in past years. And I think there's a lot of validity to that. I think they should feel optimistic because I think he is going to have a massive couple of weeks. Maybe month and a half. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, so I was looking at some of his numbers from the postseason already. Year one, when he was a rookie, didn't play much, but he did play in some against Washington. They had the opportunity to throw him in those games. They got rid of Washington in those 5 games. Then you move on to the 7-game series against the Atlanta Hawks, where we all remember that one game. First, let me give you the minutes played in that series. So game 1, the Sixers lose that one, if you all remember, by 4. He played 13 minutes and 46 seconds, 2 for 8 for 6. He played just 5 minutes in game 2, where they blew out the Atlanta Hawks by 16. He only played 5 minutes in that game. Game 3, another blowout for the Sixers. Also 5 minutes in that game. Game 4, they lost by 3. Played 6 minutes and 56 seconds. Doc Rivers put him on the floor in game 4. Game 5, 1 minute and 20 seconds in game 5 that they lose again by 3 points.
And then he saved their season.
Doc Rivers found no minutes for him, but game 6, he saved the season going for 16, playing just under 30 minutes, 5 for 12. He had 7 rebounds in that game as well, hit some big shots as they won that game by 5. Now, he played 14-29 in the game that they lost by 7. Wasn't his fault. First of all, the defense adjusted to him from what he did in game 6. Then you had everything with Embiid's turnovers, Ben Simmons' of course, lack of offense in that one. Seth Curry getting cooked on the other end by Kevin Huerter.
Lack of offense, very nice and charitable way of putting that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be a pro here. And just so many things, of course, that did not go right. But since then, game 1 against Toronto as a starter, 38, Derek, he drops against the Raptors and Nick Nurse's team. Follows it up after he does that with 23, 19, 11, 12, 25, 19, 34. He has those games, and certainly last year against Boston. And Brooklyn, he had 33, 25, and 16. They swept Brooklyn, but he had the 30 in game 5. He played well in game 1 where Harden went off for the 40 and dropped to 26. Maxey did. So he is continually getting better as the guys are talking about, where this might be that time. Again, all-star this year, all-NBA discussion, where the voting might lean in his favor, where he might make at probably third team. This is what we're looking at because you're also talking about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Brunson as the point guards. And then you look at
position,
and it is
positionless,
positionless. So
see
he might,
how that helps.
yeah, it might help.
That being said, it wouldn't
way.
surprise me if a lot of voters subconsciously went by positions.
We've seen many that already said that that's exactly what they're going to do. So, but that being said, he has taken that step where he is in that conversation, and that's a real thing. Can he carry it over after all the attention that he's gotten defensively from those teams during the regular season, and then take that to the playoffs, or pardon me, the play-in first to help win this one game?
Do we actually know if it's, well, I mean, play-in Jimmy Butler last year was pretty underwhelming. Playoff Jimmy, that's a thing.
Fair.
Play-in, I mean, they were 1 loss away from ending their season.
Either way, they need him to play big in this game on Wednesday. And can he do it? I think based on the trajectory that we have seen from the playoffs since he's been a starter, it says that he understands, and as he mentioned today, he's understanding now of what he's going to see. He's going to see a lot of different coverages like he's done in the regular season, but a lot of that is going to be amplified now because of the postseason of how they're going to, you know what, Joel and Tyrese, we're going to try to take you away. Everybody else, Kelly Oubre, Buddy Hield, we're going to make you beat us too because we're trying to take away Maxey in this one where, Kyle, they are not allowing this to be that leap year to start off with this one-game situation.
Right. And I think Derek brought up an important point, which is those early runs, he's so young. And it's not only a challenge from a physical perspective where Tyrese was not in as good a shape, was not as strong. And so that has implications on both ends of the floor. You can get picked on a little easier defensively, and I would say Tyrese got picked on quite a bit in his early playoff runs. When you're driving to the basket, you can get dislodged easier. I think one thing we've talked about on the show is that Maxey's balance has been very good throughout this season. And that's part of why he's been able to finish at the basket, get to the free throw line on a consistent basis. And then obviously the big one too is just the variety in his 3-point shooting, right? Like he can kill you in any way that you would like, right? Coming out of a handoff, in a pick and roll as a pull-up guy, catch and shoot in the corner, relocation on the wing. However you can make a three, Tyrese can hit one. And so to be able to hit teams with the step backs and the pull-ups and all these different things, and then have some more dribble counter moves on top of that, right? Like you need to be able to get to the mid-range pull-up. You have to be able to set up the mid-range shot or the drive to the basket with the threat of the step back. And Tyrese has gotten very good at using counters into other moves to be able to keep defenders on their heels where he wants them to be rather than them dictating what he's going to do on the floor. So while I still have some outstanding concerns on how much playmaking he can do, or does he have enough of those dribble moves, dribble counters to beat the teams that you would potentially face in the conference finals, those type of teams. I think against Miami in a play-in setting, even against the Knicks, who are a very tough and physical team, I feel good about where Tyrese's game is at. Feel great about him from a demeanor and confidence standpoint too. Like he's seen enough playoff games, been in enough playoff games to understand this is the ebb and flow of a meaningful game. You don't get too high, you don't get too low. And a thing we've harped on all year, he takes care of the basketball, which these guys love to say this time of year. Every possession matters.
Yep.
Well, he actually plays like every possession matters. And I think that's going to help him a good deal as well.
One of the things when we were at the game on Sunday, and we were watching, I was sitting with my cousin. We were watching the game, and he was looking at Maxey. To your point of the dribble drives and all, and so from our vantage point, we had decent enough seats where we can look at, at a decent level. And he was like, "Look at how he gets to the basket, and he does it so effortlessly now with the wrong foot."
Yes,
you know how we talk about that in the past. Now I'm bringing that up because I'm watching it with someone else, not just you guys. And he was like, look at how he just does that off that wrong foot. And it throws you off. How do you defend that? That's why he is able to, where he believes he's getting those fouls, and it should be called. We believe the same way by watching it on TV saying, how did he not get that call?
Yeah.
But that's a real thing. And it goes back to that last game here when they played, and we were talking about the one play that I liked, Erik, when he went to the right and he had the defense. I believe it was Duncan Robinson, and then he met Bam, and he cut that corner on that right edge right there around the wing, and he bang, cut that corner and got to the basket and did what he does, getting the basketball high off the glass and finished it. That's the type of stuff that what else can they throw at him defensively that he hasn't really seen already, especially with Joel Embiid not being able to play against Miami. Now, they got to him on Christmas Day. We remember that day. So that was a problem. We can't ignore it like that didn't happen. But since then, he has played really well. And for him to have that, yes, that leap year should be this year. This is that year where we typically see guys make their mark. And with them, with this pathway for the play-in, and then we'll see what happens thereafter, the fact that this is the opportunity for a young player that's ascending to, again, make that big mark on the playoff picture and give some problems to the opposing teams in the Eastern Conference. I can't wait to see him. We all want to see him be, but I am very, very anxious to see what he does against this defense tomorrow.
You know who else is ascending?
Who is
on
that?
The East Coast right now?
On the East Coast?
Our good friends at Ollipop, who have a new kind of soda.
Ollipop.
Tastes great, and it's better for you. Ollipop is available online and in almost 30,000 retailers nationwide, but importantly, for our people in Philadelphia, their most recent launch at all Wawa stores. You can scoop a classic root beer or a strawberry vanilla at a Wawa near you. I've told you guys many times now, I've been a big soda drinker at times in my life. And as you get older, the metabolism slows down and you're more conscious of your health. Oh, wow, now Devon's leaving the show. Maybe he's getting an Ollipop for himself. But as you think more about your health, you think of the impact soda has on your gut, on your teeth, on all kinds of different parts of your life. And Ollipop allows you to get what you want from soda. Look at that, a nice ice cold cherry vanilla. I might tap into it while we're
we're here.
Oh,
Ollipop.
Cheers, everybody. Ooh,
look at that.
little foam and carbonation there too. Ollipop is the healthier version that is much lower in sugar than conventional sodas, with only 2 to 5 grams of sugar from natural sources. Still tastes great, as you saw. I'm drinking it right here on the show. Vintage Cola has just 2 grams of sugar compared to a regular Coca-Cola, which has 39 grams of sugar. And they have plenty of classic flavors. Vintage Cola, classic root beer, orange squeeze, classic grape, strawberry vanilla, cream soda, cherry cola. I got a cherry vanilla right here. Good combination of flavors, you guys. So use the code PHLY20 for 20% off of your next Ollipop order. Discount only applies to one-time orders, not to subscription orders. Ollipop is sold online at drinkollipop.com and at Amazon, and it's available on almost 30,000 retailers nationwide, from Wawa to Target to Sprouts to Wegmans. Shop right and go puff. And I will tell you, because we see it in the chat every time I do one of these reads, more and more people seem to be giving Ollipop a try, finding their flavors. We got variety packs coming in.
Big Mike said he needs to try that cherry vanilla that you have right there. That's what I'm saying.
Listen, man, they're all worth a try. I can't sit here and promise you you'll like all of them. I have my favorites. I love that strawberry vanilla that is in Wawa, but worth giving it a try if you're a soda person. Now, what else is worth a try?
What's that?
Because we all need to choose chill this time of year. Wednesday night against the Miami Heat, it's going to be a pressure cooker. It doesn't matter how bad the Heat are. Doesn't matter how uninspiring they are in the regular season. You know, when push comes to shove, you're going to stare Jimmy Butler down at the Wells Fargo Center and say, man, that MFer scares the hell out of me. And you're going to need to calm your nerves, to choose chill. The way you can do that is with an ice cold Coors Light. And with Coors Light, you know you're getting an ice cold beer because the mountains turn blue on the bottles and cans when they hit that perfect temperature. Unfortunately, I don't think we have a ice cold Coors Light for Devon to summon.
I was going to get one
within the studio right now. I'm going to have to run
I
outside.
think there is one right there. We can get you a nice warm Coors
Light. Nice
Light.
warm one. I don't think so. That's doing a disservice to our friends at Coors Light. But guys, I know when I'm watching a game, not during Sixers games, it is business duty. When I'm watching a close Eagles game,
it might be on Wednesday for me.
When I hit a bar for a 9 a.m. English Premier League game, like a complete psychopath, I do need to chill out, calm down a little bit. Coors Light allows me to choose chill because it is a cold layered, cold filtered, cold packaged beer with a smooth finish, and it is mountain cold refreshment no matter what those damn people from Denver, Colorado think of me, think of the show, or think of the Sixers. When you choose to rise above it all, and especially those people, choose chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/PHLY basketball. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Probably a good time to mention that Devon and I will be in studio Wednesday during the game. We'll be having a watch along.
Look at that segue.
Come join us, watch the Sixers, and there will be pizza and choose chill going on in studio, because that will be nerves will be high on that one.
You're not kidding. Some candy, we need it all. And that will be brought to you, of course, by our good friend, some Coors Light that Kyle just laid out there. And real fast, I just looked at the line because someone else put it up here in the chat. And right now, the line is Spiral Out, put it out there, -4.5. So I just checked it as well on our Bet Parks Sportsbook app, and it is at -4.5 right now as a home favorite for the 76ers over the Miami Heat. That's, of course, with the thinking that Joel Embiid will be good to go. If you follow Derek and Kyle on Twitter, they did tweet it out during the media availability, where Nick Nurse did say that Joel Embiid did fully participate today, and DeAnthony Melton did not.
Yeah. So since we'll call it the scare against Orlando Friday night, Joel did miss that Sunday finale against Brooklyn, but according to the Sixers, has been a full participant in every practice that they've had, which they've had 3, and that's pretty uncommon for this team during the season. So if you want to take their word at face value, Joel should be, raring to go for this game.
You know what's wild? Nick likes golf, and he still has time to hold practices. It's wild for a coach to do that.
How does that happen?
Not naming any names, just making an observation.
Are you pointing a finger or a few fingers at a certain coach that likes to make excuses and is currently employed somewhere in the Midwest?
So Derek, when you look at that, after playing against the Orlando Magic, where he did tweak his knee in that Friday win, you have Saturday off. As far as just, any practice or whatever work he did get in.
Well, allegedly, he did practice with the team on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Then you have
what that means, we don't know.
The day off on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, practice, but just practice. He's had a few days off now. He's had 4 days off as we lead into this game tomorrow. Does that do anything for you when we talk about just his health and making sure he gets enough rest as possible, which is why they sat him against Brooklyn?
Yeah, if there was any concern with the knee, I think the time off certainly helps. If there was no concern with the knee, I wouldn't have minded playing even just 15 minutes in that final game just to keep him in rhythm. Having 4 days off in a row, he can sometimes come out, and even with a short stretch like that, be a little bit out of rhythm. But I don't think it's a big deal either way. Like, I think if he hurt his knee against Orlando, 4 days off isn't going to materially change it too much. And if he wasn't, and it was just to get him rest, then 4 days off isn't going to turn him into a bad basketball player. I just like to keep him in rhythm because of past performances. But yeah, look, would I have preferred if he didn't react like that to whatever happened against Orlando? Yeah, that causes a little bit of doubt or at least concern in the back of your mind, but I think he's good to go.
Days off do anything for you? Just rest.
Yeah, I mean, look, I can't say no, because if they had escaped the play-in, I'd be sitting here like, man, the whole team got a week off, and it'd be we'd be selling it in that way. So it's not bad that he was able to get, some days in here where not only is he off, but they're in the practice facility, they're working on concepts, they're hammering out some things that frankly they did not have time to do for a long time.
Multiple days of practice in a row are definitely big. I was just talking about directly as it relates to Joel's knee. Yeah.
We're in agreement. Look, if he was actually hurt in that Orlando game, this is all window dressing and nothing really matters. But I choose to believe, and maybe this will end up looking stupid in 24 hours or so, or a little over 24 hours. But I choose to believe that they're being mostly truthful at minimum about Joel, and that he's going to be ready to go tomorrow. We did see Drew Hanlon, Joel's trainer,
we saw a lot of
saying wheels up. Well, that's another story. Drew Hanlon tweeted and said wheels up to Philly. Okay. That he's coming here to get some work in, presumably with Joel, potentially with Tyrese as well. I know we'll get to a story involving him in a little bit, maybe, and talked about the work that those two did together in the offseason to kind of hone that partnership before the season got going. But yeah, I feel about as good as I can about Joel right now, knowing that he's not going to be 100%, but he's closer to it than he was 2 weeks ago. And frankly, even if he's not at 100%, he has still shown he can hit a high level against a team, certainly against a team that's the caliber of Miami, which is to say, I have the proper amount of respect for them, but they're beatable, and the Sixers should win. I hope Joel comes out tomorrow, takes care of business, so I don't have to hear people bitching and moaning for days after that.
Luke says on the chat, Drew Hanlon came with receipts today. Ooh, got it. He always backs his boys, whether it's Beal, Tatum, Embiid, and maybe now Maxey.
A little bit of Maxey.
A little bit of Maxey. So we'll see how ready Joel Embiid is tomorrow. We'll stay on the Maxey piece because we do have a super chat here from our good buddy Bernard McCoy. Sixers were 16-27 without Embiid. Oh, come on, you're taking away Ash's stats.
Well, he's on the other side.
He's the inverse.
Ash is the positive one.
Fair.
Bernard's like, fuck those losers.
He's bringing it back. He's bringing it back.
I'm just teasing.
Maxey missed 11 of those games. So there were 15-17 with Maxey and no Embiid.
Did they go 0-11 in games without Embiid and Maxey?
He's ready.
I mean, look, I agree. I just don't remember. Did they go 0-11 in those games without?
I don't know. I would say I thought they won a couple of those games without Maxey.
It didn't feel like they did, but
yeah.
I'm choosing chill, and that choosing chill means not doing math.
No math on that one, but. Basically, Bernard is saying, to our point about Tyrese Maxey and the question, leap year, he's ready. And Bernard,
You keep saying leap year, and I think like, what is there like an extra game in the schedule? Like it just sounds like
well,
you're
this
talking.
was
Buddy Hield had
technically
2 extra
true.
games in his
he's playing
schedule.
85. Yeah, and technically this was the leap year. So yeah, Bernard, he's ready, and I mean, he is the one that I am really focused on. Obviously, Joel and Tyrese, but between the two, Joel because of the health, and then Maxey because you just want to see in this one game scenario, if Joel is being played a certain way, can he do what we have seen Tyrese Maxey do during the regular season and carry them to a victory and that 7 seed?
And look, I think Tyrese is such a confident player, in part because he has put in an outstanding amount of work to get where he's at. You don't make these constant leaps from season to season without focused preparation in the off season and without doing a lot of maintenance work in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
I think you can hear it in his voice a lot of time when you're talking to him, just like how he's describing why something went wrong or why he did this or why he thinks he's made progress. It's all grounded in that foundation of work. And so he has belief that is going to be very hard to shake. I think the skill level has risen to a point that all throughout this season, there were moments where, okay, Tyrese has a bad game and we'd say, hey, the mid-range shot is struggling right now, or he's not playmaking enough, or I believe we did a whole show about he was shooting poorly from 3 at some point early mid-season. And he seems to answer the call every time he seems to struggle at any individual thing. Like, he is an honest assessor of whatever has been happening. Like, okay, you're not getting to the free throw line, got to change your approach. You're not finishing at the basket, got to change your approach. And it just seems like he's able to problem solve in real time so much better than he was able to even like a year ago. Part of that is just because he has more responsibility. Part of that's just him maturing. But I think every sign points to he has earned his status as a star in this league.
Yep.
And he is at the moment of his career where that goes from he's this fun young player, fun young story, to he is a legitimate factor in the playoffs. And I think the biggest thing as we apply this to Joel, this is the first time we're going into a playoff run with Joel where his main co-star doesn't have some huge red flag or issue on offense, right? With Ben, we don't need to relitigate the Ben Simmons experience. You could say it was Jimmy at that time. Going into the playoffs with Jimmy, we were like, well, he kind of hasn't tried for 2 months, and I guess that ended up not being a big deal in hindsight.
We just didn't know about his
right.
load
Playoff Jimmy was not really etched in stone quite yet.
Yep.
And then with James, the whole thing with Harden, other than the complete disinterest in playing defense, was that when James is on the ball and James is involved in the way he wants to be involved, he's incredible. He's one of the singular offensive talents the league has ever had. But when he's not running the show, he's not really helping you. He's not a catch and shoot guy, and he had all those limitations. He also can't get to the rim because he lost the burst due to the hamstring issues. And now Maxey doesn't have any of those. He's the most diverse offensive star that Joel has ever played with. I'm just so excited to watch him grow.
Same.
Even if he goes through some tough games, which he inevitably will.
Yeah.
He's not going to go on a playoff run and play elite level basketball every single night. I have confidence that he can shake it off and continue to move forward.
All right.
His mindset has always been get 1% better every day. And I think for most people, you would say, what a silly cliche. He seems like he actually does get 1% better each day. And as somebody who feel like I have hit my, early middle-aged plateau, that really freaking annoys me, but I think it's true.
All right. Well, listen, folks, we'll tell you about some things on the other side. I have my questions for the guys and for you out there. But first, I got to tell you that this episode here on this Tuesday, ahead of the start of the play-in, this episode is brought to you by Manscaped. Did you know one man every hour, every day is diagnosed with testicular cancer? In fact, testicular cancer is the most common form of cancer amongst men age 15 to 35. With April being National Testicular Cancer Awareness Month, our friends over at Manscaped have partnered with the Testicular Cancer Society to help spread awareness for men's health and early cancer detection. Visit manscaped.com/TCS to learn how to check yourself for early signs of cancer. And as always, you can use promo code PHLY for 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com. And I also wanted to take a second to talk to you about, again, I've mentioned it and I will continue to mention it because of how serious it is as we discuss this, is that cancer can hit everybody and every family, your friends, and it can affect you in a big, big way. It has done so in my personal life with my family and my friends. Some have pulled through and have beaten it. Others have not. And it is really a tough thing to go through, certainly dealing with cancer. I remember doing this read the other day and someone just simply said, F cancer. And you're absolutely right. And that's how we feel here. And with this in mind, you can perform a simple routine of your self-check at home while enjoying Manscaped products you use every day, like the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. It makes sense, right? We use the products daily to trim and maintain our boys down there. I have the Lawnmower 5.0 as well, and it features 2 interchangeable skin-safe blade heads, a standard one for taking a little bit off of the top, and a new foil blade to go smooth and sleek, whichever you prefer. And with the dual LED spotlights, you'll achieve better visibility, making every trim more precise and hassle-free. And you can bring this trimmer wherever you go as well, thanks to its wireless charging capabilities and travel lock feature that you can also travel with in your personal bag that Manscaped provides in the packaging of the box that they send it in. In addition to providing the right tools and solutions for a comfortable and easy grooming, Manscaped is committed to raising awareness and giving support for fighters, survivors, and families impacted by testicular cancer. That is why they will be donating $50,000 to the Testicular Cancer Society. Help save lives and balls by going over to manscaped.com/TCS and sharing their funny educational check yourself video. And while you're at it, grab 20% off plus free shipping with code PHLY because, like a famous American philosopher once said,
take care of your balls, your mentals, and your chickens.
Thank you, everyone.
It's always incredible trying to transition from that one. We also want to make sure we tell you about Game Time because there are a lot of huge games coming up, including on Wednesday, hopefully not Friday, but certainly after that. Well, not certainly, but probably. Hopefully. We don't need to get into that. Buying tickets to your favorite event shouldn't be stressful. Game Time is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. Game Time is the place for last-minute ticket deals. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. And the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. It's the fastest growing ticketing app in the country for a reason. With Game Time, you get images of your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. You can buy tickets in a matter of seconds, 2 taps, and you're set. With tickets sent directly to your phone, so you never have to dig through your email. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
All right, welcome back. And with that, I wanted to make sure the guys were able to check on a few things. I saw it first. I give credit to Big Mike D, who brought the question up on the chat. And did you check on that, guys?
Yeah. So Terry Rozier, along with Josh Richardson, but he hasn't really been a factor in the rotation. Terry Rozier, more notably, ruled out for tomorrow's play-in game against the Sixers. Duncan Robinson, currently listed as probable. Hero and Kevin Love are available as of right now. Initial reaction, because I feel like I talked up Scary Terry quite a bit early in the year, looking at him as a potential wild card trade piece. I think that's a pretty big miss for them, obviously. You know, Rozier was in a good groove toward the end of the regular season, had a great game against the Sixers as part of a big week down there. He's the sort of guy that when he's hot can swing a game, and I keep wanting to say one and done. It's a one and in, but not one and done. I hate all the terminology around the play-in tournament that we have to use. But in a one and in scenario, Terry Rozier is one of those types of players that you have a little bit of healthy, appropriate fear, as Brett Brown used to say. And so removing him from the lineup is a pretty consequential move. We'll see what that means for Miami either on Wednesday or their potential if they lose on Friday and in the playoffs. But I certainly think it helps the Sixers. The question will be, how do they respond to that lineup-wise? Do they try to play bigger? I'm not really sure yet. It's a little too early to say, but I think that's a big deal.
Yeah, Rozier in the last game, Sixers won in Miami by 4. Rozier had 22. He was 7 for 20, but the pressure that he was able to put on the defense and getting some good looks, getting to the painted area to get some shots off, he was pretty good despite what the shooting percentage says. And when he was open, when he missed the shots that he did miss in that particular game, as he caught the basketball and was wide open, it was one of those, oh no, someone needs to go defend him, because he has the chance, of course, to knock that down. He was 6 for 13 in that one, which is why I bring that game up. Despite the 22 on the 20 shots, 7 for 20, 6 of those were from beyond the three-point line, and he missed 7. So the threat is there. Getting to the painted area again, the ability to weave around the defense and find those open looks. He's a dangerous player in that lineup, which is why we also discussed him potentially as a midseason pickup for the Sixers. But Derek, not having him in that lineup and potentially going with Caleb Martin in the starting lineup, or Tyler Hero in the starting lineup, maybe Jaime Jaquez just because of the ball handling ability. I don't know, but that's a big blow for Miami.
Well, it's a big blow because they rely on him a lot for late game offense, and they also rely on him a lot defensively. Like that downgrade from Rozier to like Hero defensively, that's just one more player Tyrese Maxey can try to draw a switch on and pick apart. Tyrese Maxey should be able to eat tomorrow night. He really, really should.
And we've seen him go at Tyler Hero in games
mercilessly, before. Like a lot. Every trip down. That was one of Doc's strengths, is I'm just going to attack this weak spot over and over and over again, whether it's a defender or a player. I would expect you'll see a lot of Tyrese Maxey mismatch hunting again tomorrow. They should I thought Tyrese Maxey was going to have a big game before this news. This makes it even more so.
Yeah, so you look at that right away. You wonder, okay, with Tobias Harris and Kelly Oubre potentially in the starting lineup, where does Butler go? Do they throw Butler to try to slow Maxey down? But then you guys pointed out he's going to hunt that mismatch with whoever that might be. So that's important for the Jaime Jaquez piece, or even the Caleb Martin's part, because of the ability to put some length on him and maybe some physicality to try to throw him off of his spots. But the last time out, if you watch when Caleb Martin played against the Sixers in that one, I think it was the game here, it wasn't the one in Miami, he was frustrated as hell because he picked up those personal fouls trying to run around with those dudes. So I can't wait to see what Spoelstra and the coaching staff come up with to try to slow down Tyrese Maxey now that we get this news. Not that Rozier was going to stop Tyrese Maxey, because he didn't. But now you have different type of mismatch for Maxey looking for that matchup.
Yeah, and you brought it up, Devon, but it's shot creation is at a premium in the playoffs. Anybody who can get their own shot, and I know it's the play-in, not the playoffs, but in important,
just call it the playoffs, man.
Important,
please. I'm with you. Yeah. I'm like, hey, we're in the playoffs.
I'm just aggravating myself because Provolone John and all these knuckleheads in the comments, but. Anyone who can get themselves and the team out of a tight spot with their own handle and their shot-making ability is even more valuable in the playoffs than they are during the regular season, because the defenses are better. They know all your plays. The scouting report is out there. We have 82 games worth of tape on your team. And so that ability to improvise and play out of tight spaces, that's super valuable in these situations. So losing Rozier for that, losing Rozier for the shooting.
Yep.
I'm not sitting here saying that I'm changing my prediction. I was picking the Sixers to win regardless.
Spoiler, geez, we're getting
I said it on yesterday's show. I was going to pick them to win regardless. I think it definitely helps, and we'll see. I wonder if there'll be any line movement based on this, because you said it was 4.5 when we started the show.
Yep.
We'll see.
Yep, absolutely. All right, let's get to some of these questions. Do you have any more on that one, on the Rozier piece?
No.
All right, let's get to a couple of these questions that I want to throw at the guys. Tyrese Maxey speaking today just kind of messed up my questions for the guys. But this is Devon's mail. But what did you call
I mean,
it?
look, it's no. I specifically said I wasn't going to bring up my
Giving
bad.
us
I wanted
some
you to say it.
questions.
I wanted you to say it, but we have our my version of the mailbag for the guys going into the postseason. Let's just call it the postseason, since this
Playoffs.
is the extra game here. And we'll begin. Look, I'll stay with the Tyrese Maxey theme, even though we talked about him elevating this game in this one-game playoff. Does he have another gear that he can reach, Derek, as we start this postseason? Does he have another gear? We kind of answered it, but just to answer it again, yes, he has that next gear.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Next gear. Boom. Let's move on. Can Joel Embiid play well enough and healthy enough in this postseason here for 3 rounds? Forget about the NBA Finals right now. If they get past Miami tomorrow night, can he be healthy enough for 3 rounds, Derek?
Yes. Can he? Yes. That's
In
yes.
theory?
In
Yeah.
theory,
But
even
like-
with this latest knee buckle against
Sure.
Orlando.
I don't know if I would give it a great chance. It might be a 10 or 15% chance, but most NBA champions need things with a 10% chance to go their way. This is just a really, really big thing the Sixers need, and without it, they have no chance. But yeah, there's a chance. I don't know if I would say 10%, 20%, somewhere in that range. Maybe it's higher than that. I don't know. It's tough to look objectively and clear-eyed on something that has bit your season so many times in a row. But there's certainly a chance. I think people make too much of a deal that there's no chance, this will never happen, yada, yada, yada. I think we like to write narratives before they're actually written. But I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to say it's a greater than 50-50 chance. I'm certainly not going there.
Yeah, and look, a lot of it, frankly, just hinges on tomorrow's game. Because even if we say, hey, Joel, we can guarantee Joel's health, if they lose tomorrow, none of us believe sitting here realistically that they'll beat Boston in round 1. If that's the path they have to go. Now, it would be an amazing story, and we would talk about here's how you would do it, but the health will be immaterial to me if they can't win tomorrow. It is such a huge, huge inflection point for this season, for this Sixers era, because, and I'm not taking the Knicks lightly. I do want to put that out there. I've said on this show several times that if they win and they draw New York, in no way do I think that is like a walkover, guaranteed win type series. But it is certainly a different class of opponent than playing the Celtics on several levels.
Yep.
And if you beat the Knicks, if you get through New York, if you can keep Joel healthy, and I do think that's going to be hard against New York just because of the style of play and the
6-7
way
games, man.
It'll go long. They're going to be super physical, all that stuff. But if you get through that, you're either getting Indiana, who they're annoying and they'll run you to death, but I'm not scared of them, or you're getting Doc Rivers, you're getting likely compromised Giannis, although I guess if they win that series, probably suggests that he's back and
but he'll also
relatively
be
healthy.
at some sort of injury, just like
let's
Joel
say like
Embiid.
80% Giannis,
Just like Joel
85%,
Embiid. Right,
whatever.
right.
So compromise Giannis in some way. So I do feel like if they win this game on Wednesday, there is a clear path to at least a conference finals. And then if you're rolling, if Joel's healthy at that point, it's still the Celtics. They're the same team they were in round 1. But the longer you go on and the longer Joel can stay healthy, the longer Tyrese Maxey continues to get reps and build on his resume. Maybe something happens with Boston. Maybe Al Horford is 1,000 years old. He's not even that much older than me, honestly.
Well,
but maybe the 1,000-year-old
your level of athletic ability is a little bit sub NBA
This is
player.
true.
Yeah.
So maybe Al Horford suffers some kind of soft tissue injury and he's a doubt, and then all of a sudden they lose one of the. They're very good at the top, but the depth is not as good as you would hope it would be because they sold out to put that top 6 together. So you never know.
That pathway is important against Indiana, Miami, Milwaukee. Pardon.
I just want to sort of build off what I said, because it really does annoy me sometimes how we treat something that is unlikely to happen as something that can't happen. I sort of have the same view of Joel Embiid's Sixers career as I do, Theo Epstein used to talk about baseball. You never want to necessarily build your goal isn't to build the best team in baseball any given year because the best team rarely wins. It's no guarantee. So much luck and variance happens in the playoffs. So what you want to do is build a team that's going to make it 5, 6, 7 years in a row so you maximize the number of chances you have for everything to sort of go right. I view Joel Embiid a lot as that. And I think that's why when some people go out and they say like, oh, just give up, he's never going to be healthy. No, in my perspective, you need to increase this window as long as you can so that, maybe there's a 10, 15% chance that Joel Embiid stays healthy for enough, enough time to win 16 playoff games, 17 with the play-in, put 17 postseason games. You need to have enough cracks at this that 1 year, everything's just going to fall your way. You're not going to get the bad luck. You're going to beat a team like Atlanta. That one really sticks in me.
But by the way, that series, I know he didn't end it great, and he had a bad game or two in the middle of the
turnovers were bad.
He was on a bad knee, dropping like 30 and 10 still.
And you need your other guy.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about Maxey to elevate the play in that one.
But I guess what I'm getting at is no, I don't know if there's a great chance he will be happy, but there's enough of a chance that I think you just have to keep open the possibility that you will get lucky once. I know we're in Philadelphia and bad things happen in Philadelphia, and we've certainly had that happen over the last couple of years. But like I said, I think with Embiid, you go in there with a team that has a talent level to compete at a high level enough times so that one of the years everything just falls in your way.
I should have said 75 to 80% through 2 rounds. My bad. But we got an answer from these guys, so that's it. That's the good thing. We move on to the next one. Again, by the way, 5 now. It moved a half a point.
Okay.
It's now 5.
Terry Rozier, you are worth half a point, brother.
Correct. All right. If we
either take that as a diss or as a compliment, I'm not sure.
If we're to believe that Maxey can take that, of course, step for tomorrow's game along with Joel Embiid, that's where the game plan is going to be. Who's your X factor, Kyle, for Miami specifically tomorrow night for the Sixers?
On the Heat or just
for
in
the Sixers
game?
Against Miami?
I think it's the guy who's going to be the X factor the whole run. It's Kelly Oubre.
Yeah,
that's
right?
my answer.
I think you could spin it. There are 2 lines of thought. You could say it's Tobias Harris, right? But I think I've been through enough runs with him that I just I'm not coming in with almost any expectations from him. With Kelly, there are so many ways this could go, right? Does he sustain just the level of play he had at the end of that regular season? Because he played really, really well for like a month and a half. And on top of that, as we've said many times, he played differently. He's playmaking. He's bought in off ball defensively. He's doing things on a consistent basis that you would see in flashes in the past, right? But never on a play-to-play, game-to-game, week-to-week basis that we saw from him at the end of that season. And frankly, like I've talked about my concerns for them in specific matchups, mostly against Boston. Like, who do they have to throw at the opposing team's best player? Well, Kelly is going to be a huge component of that battle, right? The guy to be able, who has the length, the athleticism, all that to guard the Jimmy Butlers, the Jason Tatums. We've seen him at times. We saw him guard Jalen Brunson in a game against the Knicks.
Yeah.
And there are going to be a ton of matchups where if Kelly's not your most important perimeter defender, especially because it looks like DeAnthony Melton is just written off for either at least the beginning of the playoff run, but potentially the entire playoff run, Kelly's importance goes even higher than it already was. And so can Kelly Oubre during this run, however long or short it is, rewrite the book on his career up to this point? I think it's super compelling in a lot of ways. It's also a bit terrifying because you just don't know who this guy will be, but I'm cautiously excited about it because he has put together what I think is the most consistent stretch of basketball he's had maybe in his career.
Well, and I think you brought it up. It is Kelly. And I think you brought up the reason why. He needs to be good enough. The reason why his offense being true and legitimate needs to be actually the case is because his defense is incredibly invaluable in playoffs. The Sixers do not have very many players of his physical tools. And coming into the playoffs with so many, I mean, you look at a run right now, it would be through Jimmy Butler, through the Knicks, through Giannis if he's able to get healthy and win that first round.
And even if not, Halliburton and the 100 miles an hour offense for Indiana.
Through the Celtics and their 14 big forwards that can all score. and mismatch hunt, you need multiple players of Kelly's archetype, which would be great if Robert Covington and DeAnthony Melton were available. They are not, so that just makes him even more important. You need him to make shots. You need him to make good decisions with the ball. You need him to be a willing passer. You need all of that.
All right. Well, I agree with Kelly Oubre. That's the one. Whatever Tobias Harris gives you, we'll adjust game by game for him, but he does need to have a decent game against Miami on Wednesday as well. Let's move along with how much does the 8-game winning streak matter to you as they walk into this 1-game situation? Of course, you don't want them going in with a losing streak, but they do have a winning streak. Does that factor in at all going into this scenario?
I think I've said as much on the show, but I don't care as much about the streak as I do the fact that they've been playing meaningful basketball for weeks now. Yeah. That this is not a team that's been able to take their foot off the gas. And Nick Nurse kind of got at this at practice today and said one of the things that has thrilled him as the coach is that their competitive level has been super high for the last, let's call it, month of the season or so.
Yes.
During a time period where, frankly, a lot of the league is resting guys, gearing up for the playoffs, not thinking as much about the immediate impact of winning and the games in front of them.
And they had a ton of road games mixed in.
Yes. And I think that was great for them specifically because there was a point in the middle of the season where we're all sitting here like, these guys are screwing around too much. They're not locked in defensively. They've got no identity. And they sort of established one without Joel. And there was a brief concern like, okay, how do they integrate Joel and bring him next to these guys he's never played with before? But that was seamless. And so to me, even if they had lost a couple of these games, I think they've been trending in the right direction. They've reclaimed the defensive spirit and toughness I thought they had to open the season when guys are flying around, bought in, playing for one another. I think building off of what we said about Kelly, I think Kelly has been the embodiment of that to some extent, right? Where that middle portion of the season, not only did he shoot poorly, he was kind of lost in the wilderness on both ends. And as he has trended upward, everyone else has come along with him. So it's not just been Kelly, but I think he's a great example of the collective momentum that they've built. And so the hope would be you sustain that going into Wednesday and the rest of the playoffs.
Does that matter to you, Derek? I mean, of course, playing a playoff basketball for a month to get in.
Yeah.
But the 8-game winning streak, does that do anything for you, especially with Embiid being back for a few of those?
Oh, yeah, because it means they're playing in Philadelphia and not playing in Miami.
Fair.
That's huge.
Fair.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Look, I think what matters more is that they're playing well. And what matters most of all is that it looked like Joel Embiid was getting back into a rhythm. Now, again, 1 game off shouldn't affect that too much, you hope. But he was, I think, the Orlando game was arguably his best game. Certainly one he looked the most in the rhythm and was picking apart double teams the easiest.
Mm-hmm.
That, I think, is more important than necessarily winning the games. Like if they had snuck in a loss or two there, it would impact the standings and the location of this game. But I'm not sure it would change the way I feel about the team. But yeah, no, the way they were playing certainly has a big impact. Yeah.
All right. And final one on the way out for the guys before we say goodbye and give our shout outs. As always, 10 teams left in the Eastern Conference and the West, but we focus on the East here. 10 teams left. Who are the 5 best players left for you right now in the postseason? 5 best in the postseason. Or all the 10 teams.
So we're
remaining.
counting the
play-in,
the postseason.
The Sixers, Miami, Atlanta, Chicago. Yes. Derek, your 5 best players in no particular order, I guess. But for you, if you had it that way, then sure.
Well, the order is interesting because if you're going on potential, Embiid would be 1. If you're going on, I think, what you can necessarily bank on, you'd probably have Tatum 1. So I think there's like different levels of that conversation. But certainly Embiid, Tatum, Brunson, and I think Jimmy, just because of what he's done in the past.
I think the top 4 are ironclad.
Yeah.
Yes.
The last couple would be, Maxey, Halliburton, Mitchell.
So the 5th would be Giannis, but we have
we
have no clue.
We're sort of not counting him right now because there's no guarantee he will play in the first round of playoffs. So just to clarify that, if people think I'm sleeping on Giannis, we did cross him off before he came in here. We just didn't mention it at the top. Halliburton, first half was
Unbelievable.
on fire.
Yep.
Since the All-Star break, he's shooting like 30% from three. And you worry a little bit if the game slows down in the postseason, will that impact him and what he does at all? Mitchell's just been in and out of the lineup so much with so many different lower body injuries this year. He has been struggling down the stretch. And then Maxey, we just spent a good portion of this show talking about. The fifth spot would be a tough one.
I'd probably lean, if we're excluding Giannis, I'd probably lean Mitchell just because he has had some monster moments
on
in the
resume
playoffs.
And potential, I would say Mitchell. Yeah.
The only thing there is that I have zero belief in the Cavs. I think they might. The end of the final game stunt that they pulled amplified this a little bit, but they had the biggest fraud energy of any of the playoff teams in the East coming in. And so I could see that falling apart regardless of whatever Mitchell does. But I do think he's had some huge series, huge moments, was playing on a team in Utah for a while that was just not really built for playoff settings. We'll see how Cleveland does. But yeah, I think if we were to price in Giannis and say he's healthy, I think it's an easy 5. It's Joel, Tatum, Brunson, Butler, Giannis. Not in that order, but those are the 5.
All right.
And we've got Luke P mentioning how none of us are even mentioning Dame. Well, no, Brunson's been
Maxey's been
Maxey's
better than Dame. First
Brunson
of all.
and Maxey have been significantly and materially better than Dame and more consistent throughout the season.
Yeah.
He's just not in this list for this year.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. And it's been a lively chat in there for the show today. So a lot of people to thank as we hang out on this, as we get ready for the play-in game tomorrow to begin the postseason schedule. Predictions before we go. Derek, predictions for tomorrow night, even though we will be back tomorrow, but predictions for tomorrow night?
Sixers, 111-102. And if they don't win, I will not eat a shoe.
Wow, that was real bold of you.
Fair.
I'm taking the Sixers by double digits.
Yeah, I'm taking the Sixers by about 8 points, but that's just because Miami makes a run.
If I knew you were picking them too, I would have picked them to lose just so we had some form of I'm not superstitious at all. I hate all the when you see an Eagles Monday Night Football game and it's like every analyst picks the Eagles, it's like fuck, they're gonna lose. It's always the knife is sharpest at that moment.
So we're getting some scores in there too. Martian Lynch, 110-192. Jada Jungle, 111-102. Sixers win. Keep them rolling, folks, as we get ready to say our shout-outs. By the way, tonight, Western Conference play-in. Lakers in New Orleans. Do you have a thought on that one?
There's been some chatter that the Lakers could throw that game to avoid the Nuggets in round 1.
Play OKC. Okay. Okay.
No, they're not throwing
Pelicans
that
are winning that game, in my opinion. I take the Pelicans.
I will never.
You're not betting against LeBron?
I'm not betting against LeBron.
And they've actually been playing pretty decent over the last month or so.
They have, but I take them. And Golden State, Sacramento.
I want it to be the Kings, but I think it's going to be the Warriors.
Bulls, Hawks.
Oh, God. Who cares?
All right, we'll talk about that one tomorrow.
Look, I'll
we'll talk about that one tomorrow.
No, I just mean like whoever wins, it doesn't matter. They're just fodder anyway.
I take Atlanta.
All right, what do we have for our shout out? By the way, we get started at 6:30 tomorrow with a pregame with me and Derek here. Kyle at the arena, maybe checking in.
Yeah, maybe I'll be able to check in
setting the
with you
scene
guys.
for us.
Look,
so
we're gonna be here for like 3.5, 4 hours straight. Come hang out. Probably not for the whole 4 hours because that would be a little weird. I assume you have something else going on in your life, like watching the game.
Might have some people.
But if you can stop by
pop
for
in.
any of that portion, if maybe just the beginning, maybe just while the game's going on, maybe the post game, we would love to see each and every one of you.
Yes.
All right, everybody. As always, I want to say thank you to our wonderful people who are here with us on the show. Jay the Jungle, Ron.
What up, Aaron?
I always love that. I don't know why. Ray Burrows, Alex McElroy. This one, by the way, threw me for a loop today. Martian Lynch. Weren't you Martian Lynch 33 before?
Yes.
Oh,
did somebody?
he was.
Did
New
somebody,
day,
did,
new Martian.
Did somebody take over
Is
his
this an
name?
imposter? Can someone confirm this is the real Martian Lynch? That it's going to drive me nuts.
Interesting.
When I leave, if I don't find out. So,
Yeah.
Martian, let us know. Big Mike McD.
Well, of course he's going to say it is the real one. He's not going to admit to being a
Daryl
fraud.
Morey's Yams, which I always am uncomfortable reading that name. Habib 215. Spiral out.
What up, Spiral out?
Luke. Elliot Vincent. I think I already said Alex McElroy, but I'll say it again.
What up, Alex?
Jim G. Dev Miliano, is that? I wish I could read better than I can, guys. It's it's only a fundamental part of living and my job. But anyway, Maurice James, we got my guy Gavin.
What up,
in the
Gav?
chat. I know somewhere up there I did see a "What up, guys" from our guy Al.
What up, Al?
The 2-minute warning. We have anonymous, very mysterious.
Oh.
We have some guy named Derek Bodner. Who the hell is that?
What up, Derek Bodner?
Corey Jones Jr. ENT.
What's up?
Cooking something up.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Wiley, Fusion.
What up, Fusion?
Zach, ZAK, Chris B, Coach Lowell Ricketts, Alton Williamson.
What up, Coach?
Who was our super chat today? It was Bernard, right?
Bernard McCoy.
Bernard.
Up, Bernard?
I feel like I haven't seen your name quite as much lately, but we love hearing from you, seeing you. Philly 007, Brian Knight, and one of the main characters of today's show.
Who's that? Money Mar?
Provolone John.
What
talking
up, Provolone John?
Postseason and playoffs.
I thought you were talking Money Mar, kind of clearing the air.
And by the way, I'll get one more in. We got Chris Jefferson who says, yo, all the way from South Africa. Shout out to you, my friend.
We appreciate it, Chris.
I also see a Rob G with a Phillies logo.
What
says,
up,
enjoy
Rob?
the pod. So thank you to Rob as well. But big shout out to Chris in South Africa.
Money Mar says the Sixers win tomorrow.
Public enemy number one.
There
Money
you go.
Mar. Shout out to him.
Yeah, look at that.
If you have not already, everybody hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell icon so you get notifications each and every time we go live as that bell dies in real time. And I hear
That was pretty good right there.
If you hit the thumbs up button,
yes,
it will give the Sixers and Joel and Tyrese and all those guys just a little bit more confidence going into that big game tomorrow night. You wouldn't want them to have a lack of confidence, right? These guys will be back with you for pregame and a watch along and a post game tomorrow.
Yes.
Triple duty.
We got food, candy, Ollipops.
Coors Light.
It's presented by Coors
Just drinking
Light.
Coors Light and coffee all night, man.
There you
It'll
go.
be a doozy.
I will be at the arena providing you any and all updates that I can. Let's hope we all come out on the other side of this. Choose and chill.
Getting ready for the New York Knicks.
That's right. We will see you tomorrow night.
Thank you, Bree.
We all silly like the mayor.